Everybody, video here for you today. This is the retro no cap recap, The Curse of Oak Island, season 7, episode 15, called Surely Templar. Originally aired March 3rd, 2020. If you missed any of my recaps of previous and future episodes, there's a link to my Oak Island playlist in the upper right. Let's get into it. Previously on The Curse of Oak Island, people have been looking for an incredible treasure for 229 years. Following the seismic scanning of the swamp that revealed a ship-shaped anomaly as shown, the swamp was drained. Gary Metal detected a metal strap that blacksmith Carmen Legg said could be from a 1700s Spanish galleon. Now Billy is excavating the anomaly area down to the 15-foot level. Rick and other members of the team arrive. The seismic data showed that the anomaly is at an angle, with one end being 55 feet below the surface and the other only 15. The team is hoping to find evidence of it at the shallow depth end. Billy pulls up this survey stake, similar to ones found by the Laguna team recently and in the distant past by Fred Nolan when he was investigating the swamp. Meanwhile, Marty and Craig video conference with Vanessa Lucido, who's the owner of Rock Equipment. She says she is able to meet their dig request by supplying 8-foot wide caissons this year, instead of the 5-footers they have used previously. The hammer grab will also be 8 feet. Marty says later that 5 to 8 feet doesn't sound like much, but in actuality, they will be bringing up 2.5 times the amount of material. This is really interesting doing this retro recap during the beginnings of season 12, in which they not only are going down to 7-foot cans to lessen the overlap amount with previous can locations, but they also have discovered a shaft adjacent to what they think is shaft 2, originally drilled into during this season 7. Gary and Jack have split off from the rest of the team members to do some metal detecting. Gary gets a it, and since Rick is within shouting distance, calls him over. In more recent years, rocks and boulders have become much more important. So I can't help but notice this one here that has a cut in it. The item detected is not immediately identifiable, but the metal has wood inside it and pins driven through it to keep it in place. Back in the excavator, Billy is just a few feet away from target depth, but is encountering extremely hard ground. Rick decides to stop to change out the bucket for one better for this situation. Author and historian James McQuiston returns to the war room. He previously shared information about Scottish descendants of the Knights Templar known as the Knights Baronet, settling in the region in the early 1600s, but also may have been directly involved with whatever happened on Oak Island. This time, he proposes that Daniel McGinnis, a Freemason, and John Smith, his mother had Freemason lineage, did not just happen upon the money pit by accident, and that they instead followed clues and markers passed on to them. The most common story is that they were on the mainland and saw lights on Oak Island, so went over to check it out. But as shown on a different episode of the show, there is at least one document that shows he owned a lot on the island before the money pit was discovered in 1795. Marty, Laird, Charles, and Steve arrive at Lot 21 to investigate the foundation of the McGinnis house. Although it is a protected Nova Scotia site, Laird has obtained a permit to do a near-surface archaeological excavation of the area. Steve asks if it's possible that McGinnis and his friends found the treasure or part of the treasure. Laird says that's the speculation. Previously, on The Curse of Oak Island, 3 McGinnis descendants visited the island and claims that Daniel and his friends found 3 treasure chests and that in one of them was this gold cross. An expert that examined it later said there would originally have been jewels in the holes. This map shows the ground penetrating radar results done earlier in the season. Several anomalies on the property were detected. Laird and the others start the excavation. Meanwhile, in the uplands area of Smith's Cove, Billy is excavating while Gary and Jack metal detect. The team has decided to concentrate on finding and turning off the flood tunnel. Billy pulls away a layer of timbers and reveals this possible tunnel. Jack begins clearing it out with the shovel as Rick and Marty arrive. Jack finds this clump of coconut fiber. Coconut fiber and eelgrass were used as filtration systems so that the flood tunnel did not get blocked by debris. Narrator Robert Clotworthy tells us that the nearest indigenous coconut trees are in Bermuda, 1,500 miles from Oak Island, and that Daniel McGinnis and his team in 1804 also found coconut fiber at the 60-foot level of the money pit. Researcher group, the Truro Company, found the coconut fiber in Smith's Cove, covering 5 stone box trains that fed a flood tunnel in 1850, and the Laguna Group has also found some there previously. Dr. Ian Spooner later confirms that it is coconut fiber. Marty, Gary, and Alex travel to New Ross to get the opinion of blacksmith Carmen Legg on the metal object found in the swamp. Gary does mention the boulder that was right next to where it was found. Legg says it's a pike pole, it's from a ship, and Carmen dates it from 1710 to 1790. Pike poles are also called boat hooks. Back in the uplands of Smith's Cove, Billy is continuing to excavate what Jack calls a collapsed tunnel. He tells Marty that they also found clay just as Billy's next bucket pull causes water to rush into the area. Rick holds the business end of his shovel with his fingertips, and the entire shovel plus his entire arm disappears into a hole. Jack says it might be Shaft 5, the one that intercepted the flood tunnel also in 1850 by the Truro Company. I'll be continuing retro no-cap recaps of seasons 7 and 8 while also recapping the new season 12 episodes late Tuesday nights as they air. All other episodes are in my Oak Island playlist. I'm also doing retro no-cap recaps of seasons 2 through 4 of The Secret of Skinwalker Ranch. Seasons 1 and 5 are all done and are in that Skinwalker Ranch playlist. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe, like, and comment. Sempre avanti.